Morning.
Cool.
Okay. So, hi everyone. Thank you all for joining our mental health in the music industry event today. I'm Mia.
And I'm Kit Kat, the general manager of Finessed Media, and we are so excited to be with you all. Before we get into it, we like to start off getting to know some of y'all, checking up on you. So if I call on you, unmute yourself, say, hey, we want to hear how you're doing. So let's see. Trisha, I just saw you turn on your camera. Good morning. How are you?
I am so well. I'm so honored to support my girl D, Dr. D.
Hey.
Archer. Yes.
Love seeing the support. Happy to have you on, Trisha. Cool. Let's see who else is in the room. Jessica Lois. I saw you last weekend. What's good, girl?
Hey, hello. Hello, everyone. I am walking dogs right now. My younger sister is out of the country, so I'm house and dog sitting for her. So right now I'm walking one of two dogs, and then I'm going to go back and walk the other one once we get back to the house. So that's what I'm doing.
Nice. Well, we're super happy that you could still join us, get that multitasking on. Happy to see you today.
Happy to see you guys. Happy to be here.
Cool. Let's see, Jarrell, do you want to introduce yourself?
Jarrell!
What's
Long
good?
time no see.
Nah, it's good to see you. How you doing?
Good. Jarrell, you want to say where you're from really quickly?
Yeah, I'm from Fairfield, California, associated with the Bay Area.
Bay Area.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, me and Alexi go way back. Rode the school bus together, so now I'm hopping on trying to get some mental health with the music. So now I'm happy to be here.
Nice. We're happy to have you on, Jarrell. We love seeing long-term connections in here. Cool. Sierra, what's good? Good morning.
Hey, good morning. It's nice to be here.
Nice to see you.
I'm coming from Oregon.
Ooh, okay. Well, West Coast, let's go. What brought you out here today?
Well, so I saw this pop up, and I'm a psychologist, and I specialize working with musicians. And so I just want to be a part of whatever's happening with this, and I want to hear what people are doing and what they're needing. So I'm excited to learn.
That's awesome. We're super happy to meet you and have you in here for this conversation. Cool. Let's see who else in the room. Psychology represent. Yes, Abby, psychology represents. Let's see. Izzy, I love seeing you in the room. Are you able to unmute yourself? Say hey. That's okay. That's okay. Let's see who else is in here. Kevin, we just saw one of our awesome panelists. Good morning, Kevin. How's it going?
Morning, Kevin.
Ooh, you're muted.
Good morning. How's everybody doing?
Morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Happy to have you on. Cool. Let's see who else is in the room. Spirit, do you want to unmute yourself and say, hey, tell us where you're from?
Hey, I saw y'all one time at, I think it was FameCon, and yeah, I just popped up to hear Johnny speak, talk his gospel. That's about it.
Love it. Yeah, big time Johnny fans here. So happy to have you on today. Dr. Tiara, I see you're in the room. Do you want to introduce yourself? Say hey.
Hey, so I'm also a licensed psychologist, and I specialize actually working with creating and integrating hip hop into psychotherapeutic techniques. And so I anytime I hear anything in regards to hip hop and mental health, I'm like, so I'm excited to be here and I look forward to it.
That's awesome. Happy to have you on for today's conversation. Okay, we'll call on one more person. Let's see. Ilana, are you able to unmute yourself? Say hey. No? Okay, we'll try this one more time. Giselle, are you able to unmute yourself? Say hey.
Hi, I'm Giselle. I'm from North New Jersey. This is my first time coming to these panels. I'm really excited, and I'm really excited to hear the conversation on mental health because I think that's super important. Yeah.
Giselle, it's awesome to have you on for your first Finessed event. We're super excited to meet you and have you on. So cool. Well, with that, I'm going to pass the mic on to Mia.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kit Kat. So once again, thank you all for joining us today. As a reminder, we will be discussing mental and emotional health in the music industry. We all know that this business can be very competitive and it can be hard to find a work-life balance when music is your work and your life. So on that premise, we've brought on 6 spectacular music industry folks to speak on their experiences with mental health, touch on topics like imposter syndrome, methods for getting out of writer's block, any creative blockage, and of course, how to nurture your own mental health. Later on, we'll have an audience Q&A, and then we'll finish off with a guided meditation with Alexi. So without any further ado, let's welcome our speakers. First, we have Breion Dixon, also known as 2 Life Bree. I personally remember watching him on Rhythm and Flow with Chance the Rapper, Cardi B, T.I. That was like one of my pre-pandemic shows. I remember that vividly. He's a multi-hyphenated, he's a hip hop artist, TV producer, founder of the Butterfly Nation. So let's welcome Breion. How are you doing?
Thank you guys for having me. You know, I am so thankful to be here with all you guys. This is just the dopest platform. I want to keep just being in y'all's energy. I am an artist. A little bit of everything, but I'm a human first. I don't carry ego with anything I do. If you know me, if you just now meeting me, follow me to Live Bree, I'll follow you back. I don't do that ego stuff. I'm just real. I'm from Nashville, Cashville, Tennessee. And this is my son Reese. And he's a big part of just my just everything, my journey. I feel like I don't know if it's time for me to start talking or all that, but we'll talk later. And when I present, I'll go in because I just love these type of environments and rooms where, you know, artists can learn from each other because our testimony and our journey is so alike. Everybody in here is going through something, period, in their life. And the more vulnerable we are and the more real we are is the more we can heal together and grow together and get that bag that we all want. And that success, that definition of win that we want together. So I'm just thankful to be here, guys.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And beautiful baby boy, I must say.
Thank you. Say hello, world.
Hello. Hey, Reese. Look at that smile. Oh my goodness. Yes. Well, happy to have you on, Breion. Up next, we have the one and only Kevin McCove. Kevin, super happy to see you again. Kevin is an incredible musician who's performed with artists like Drake, the Backstreet Boys, One Republic, landed sting placements including CBS, Fox, MTV, and contracted with songwriting teams in some of the biggest labels. I've actually had the opportunity to speak with Kevin on one of the Fame Hackers mental health events, and so we're super excited to have you on for today's conversation.
How you guys doing? Yes, I guess that's a little bit on me. I mean, really, you know, we're just people. At the end of the day, just like you just said, like we're just people. You know, the stuff is just stuff. It's just stuff, but it's not what you wake up to every day. You know, what you wake up to every day is you, and you're like that one constant. All the different things kind of like come and go, but you and who you are, like that's the thing that you got to wake up to every day. So I'm thankful to be a part of this conversation, and thank you for inviting me. And I'm glad that we're in an open space to be able to communicate about this kind of stuff. So thank you.
Of course. Thank you. And next up, we have Alison. Let's talk, Alison. Oh my God, listen, we had a conversation yesterday, and after our conversation, we realized that we both really like the song Spodioti Dopalicious by Outkast. So I made a new friend, and I'm really excited about that. But yeah, let's welcome Alison. She's a licensed music therapist, and of course, she'll be able to provide some valuable tips and tools, especially for all of our performers out in the room today. Hey, Alison.
Hey, thanks so much for inviting me to be a part today. I'm so passionate about how music impacts our mental health, and especially for those of us who are musicians and performers. And like you said earlier, Mia, like when your music is life and your music is work, and figuring out how to nourish yourself and take care of your mental health can be tricky. So I'm really stoked to be a part of this conversation.
Thank you.
Awesome. Up next, we have Dr. D, Danielle Archer, right? I see Trisha in the room. Woo-woo. Cool. Danielle is a well-versed mental health therapist and mental wellness coach with 13 plus years of clinical experience, specifically with music industry professionals. As the owner and operator of the Minds of Music and the founder, CEO, and director of artist support for the Artist Minds, Danielle is full of resources for us music industry professionals. Happy to have you on, Danielle.
Thank you. And just Trish is my girl. We've known each other since the first grade, so we go way back. So
nice.
She followed me here to Florida. But I am very, very happy to be here. I love just the topic of mental health. Anybody that talks to me about mental health, you can't shut me up. So anybody wants to just cut me off at any time, just give me the high sign. It's cool. But really what it comes down to, like everybody said, we're all people first. So it really doesn't matter what industry we're in, where we come from, what our background is we all have a commonality and we all struggle with something. You guys just happen to be in the music industry. So it is about a people first approach. Your people first, your music industry professional second. Mm-hmm. So it is finding that common ground and capitalizing on it and being able to go, okay, how can I take care of myself? Just like somebody that's in the NFL, how can I take care of myself after my career is over? What you're learning now is going to carry you through past where you are today. Doesn't matter what your status is, if you sell 5 million records or if you sell 5 records, we're all coming from the same place. So that's really important to have the tools and a general fund of knowledge when it comes to our mental health.
Absolutely.
Right. And next on our list, we have Johnny Wisdom. He is the executive at Hard Drive, Bedroom Records, certified speaker, certified mental health advocate. He's probably one of the most giving music industry professionals that Finessed Media knows. So thank you for joining us. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great and really excited to be in this safe space, open space, where we can talk about this. And I think for me, the place that I come from is really trying to understand and battle against the stigma that we can all face, feeling like, we don't know how, or we haven't been prepared to use the tools to express ourselves. And we feel like creativity is an outlet, but there's so many other layers and components to that I found that, me finding a way to be vulnerable and just express what I've been through, lived experiences and being a caregiver, it really does open up the conversation a lot more, especially being a male, that really kind of makes an impact that I didn't expect. My journey kind of brought me here for a variety of reasons, but I appreciate the space so much and love being here with you all.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And last but certainly not least, we have Alexi. Most of you in the audience are already pretty familiar with her. She's our founding CEO of Finessed Media. And as a yoga instructor, you can already guess that she herself is a huge advocate for mental health. Hey, Alexi.
Hi, everybody. It's really great to have you all here. Breion, Danielle, Alison, Kevin, and Johnny. We are so excited to have this conversation with you all. And then to everybody in the audience, we host these quarterly music and mental health events every single year. So we're just so glad to have you here and to be a part of our ongoing attempt and success, I guess, in being a safe space for the music industry. So thank you all for being here.
Right, beautiful. And so there we have it. As you see, we have a very strong roster for today. I think it would be very helpful for the audience to get to know you all a little bit better. So could you tell me about why this conversation about mental health is important to you? Danielle, I know we spoke a few days ago about how you had a family member inspire you to dip into music industry mental health. You could have been a therapist for lawyers, for FBI agents, for anyone else, but music industry is one of your chosen specialties. So where does your passion stem from?
I grew up in a house where music was always the focal point. So I can't carry a tune. I can't play an instrument. You're lucky I can walk and chew gum at the same time. So I don't have any musical talent whatsoever. But my older brother was a bass player. And growing up, we had, I grew up in the 70s. So, we had the old school, like big old stereo with the big old speakers all through the house and everything. And I grew up listening to, doo-wop and Motown, 70s, Bee Gees, just going on. And then in the late 80s, early 90s, when my brother was playing music, he, it was, the Seattle scene. So it was, Soundgarden and Pearl Jam or Nirvana, and introduced me to hair bands. Motley Crue is still my favorite band. But so that's kind of how I grew up. And, you know, music was always a very central part of my life. So I can pair a lot of experiences and a lot of things in my life with certain songs. Takes me back to certain places, certain memories. And when I was 16, my mom passed away, and I had started going to a support group at hospice. And then I started going to see therapists. I'm 46, so I've been going to therapy on and off for the last 30 years. So therapy has always served a purpose for me at different times in my life. When I decided to get into the career field, for me, it was about giving back to the people that had given to me, not just the mental health therapists, but also people in the music industry, because they've created such a safe space for me without them obviously knowing it, that I wanted to be able to come and give something back to them as well.
That's beautiful. It's a very beautiful story. And I encourage you all to keep your mics unmuted. You know, I really want this to be like an open discussion where anyone can join in. So Alexi, how about you?
Yeah, so obviously, as most of you know, I come from a yogic background and also have a huge background in holistic healing with traditional Chinese medicine. And on top of it, I also went to individual and group therapy and had a lot of training in domestic violence, training against domestic violence. So I have a huge passion for just, you know, providing safe spaces for people, regardless of whether that is the music industry or not. But specifically, why I have a passion for it in the music industry is because I am an entrepreneur, and entrepreneurs are often artists. And when you have artists who are trying to create and also build sustainable careers for themselves, sometimes you find this hard spot to figure out, you know, how do I separate my work from my passion and my life? So I wanted to bring my experience to the music industry and provide a safe space on a quarterly basis, but also to show people and provide the tools that are needed in the music industry, because a lot of us in the music industry, especially BIPOC or women and women of color, especially, we didn't grow up with knowing how to take care of our mental health or take care of ourselves. So I'm really passionate about bringing all of my experience to this space and, you know, allowing people to not only have the tools and the resources, but to also move through all of the struggles that they've been through in their lives.
Right. And I really liked what you said about creativity and entrepreneurship, because it's often pushed under the rug, but regardless of your industry, creativity is everywhere. So it's mental health is very big for all of us in some way, shape, or form. Breion, I see your mic is unmuted. Would you like to go next?
Yeah. And excuse me if I'm very raw and say something that's very like, I'm just very transparent. So me, I just love, I've been doing this mental health thing, trying to mentor artists, youth, just being a walking, just mentor for whoever follows me, connect with me, because like I started my music career very young, 13. Oh my gosh. So like all of my friendships was like kind of false friendships, all of my businesses, like it was just so much chaos. And then I was letting managers or whatever the case may be create my identity for me. So I try to mentor and guide the people to be their best self and truest self early, so they can not feel like they lose themselves so young. Everybody do, trying to chase their dream. And I just want to be that advocate to help people find themselves early on, or even if they're there later on, I want to try to teach them now, like, okay, you can be yourself. The key to success is being different and unique. It's not really following the crowd. So that's me in a nutshell. I got so much, my testimony, I literally experienced all the bad things that you can experience in the game. And I'm willing to walk with it and show it, you know, and teach people from my experiences. So, yeah.
Right. That's a beautiful story. And Alison, how about you?
I'm very passionate about this topic because I personally have anxiety and depression and have dealt with that most of my life, and first realized it without realizing what it was when I was probably like 9 or 10 years old. And looking back, as an adult, I could see, oh yeah, that was probably depression and anxiety starting. But I didn't know, like at that time, I was, born in 81. So when I was that age, there wasn't really that much talk about anxiety and depression in kids. And so I just kept it to myself and used music as an outlet. I played flute and started with flute in middle school band, and it was such a great medicine for me to play and make music, and then doing deep breathing and all that stuff. So that's a big part of why I'm really excited to be here. And I think it's so important to help decrease the stigma and talk about mental health and talk about things that we can do on our own and with others and with professionals, all the different levels.
Right. And I definitely agree with what you said about like not realizing what it was until like things got bad for like depression. And music is a beautiful way, like in one way, shape, or form, music is so healing, so medicinal. So we love what you do. Johnny, what's up?
So I think something that Breion said that just resonated with me so much is the idea that we have a tendency as artists to lose ourselves because we have some, pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. And one of the things that we do as often as possible with my peers and colleagues is we're always trying to redefine and reframe the idea of success, because that dictates a lot of what you're going to expose yourself to, what you're going to be available to. The idea that if you're so thirsty or so just dying for something to drink, that's how you get poisoned. So we want to make sure that there's so many options that you take everything with a grain of salt. And I'm never here like we're right or everybody here is right or like the people that we work with are right. Everybody has a very specific and unique journey to themselves, much like their fingerprint. So everyone is so unique that we want to make sure that there's an abundance of information, an abundance of ways to essentially protect yourself. And that's what this space is all about. So that's what makes me the most passionate about this. Out of everything in my life, I don't sit around and dream up Grammys and dream up, platinum plaques. I dream up good lives and healthy living for people that I care about. And I'm exposed to them so frequently that this has become pretty much everything I focus myself on. Music is a huge part of it, but people are really the legacy that we're trying to leave behind. So that's why I'm here.
That's wonderful. Wonderful. And Kevin, last but not least, how about you?
I think for me, it was more that everybody who I was around was on drugs. Like, in entertainment, especially, I mean, I'm sure people on drugs, period, but like in entertainment, like people are on drugs in a really functional way. Like, so it's a little different. It's not like drugs are bad or we kind of hide them or whatever. It's like, no, drugs are everywhere. They're out in the open. They're like handed to you. They're kind of touted sometimes as like, inspiration inducers, creativity enhancers, or, and it's just so in your lifestyle. And even if you get like, you don't have to be, if you're just a gigging musician doing cover shows, all your shows are at the bar. Half of the time, half of your payment is in drinks, right? So if you go in there and you're not even feeling like you're getting paid much, you're like, damn, I gotta take this show and I'm only getting $50 or $100, $150, whatever it is. But you got a tab, you can drink for free. Like, you'll just be like, all right, whatever. Like, cool, I'm gonna go drink. And then you start to get into that habit. So the more you play, actually, like the more successful you become, the more like tied to drugs you become. And so like, it just becomes like this natural progression. And music in and of itself, when you play, it's like its own high. It's this magical, wonderful, like the highest of all highs. For me anyway, like being in front of people and playing, especially if you get to the point where you have other people singing your words back to you, feeling your feelings and putting them right back into you. It's this magical conduit experience. But then you get off a stage. You get off stage and for like the next 3 hours, you were feeling like this. Wow. But nobody else around you is really like that. And you're like, wow, I have to come down off of this. So then you start to look for ways to extend it. or to enhance it a little more. And you start pairing it with it. And it's like, it's a crazy slippery slope. And literally it's every musician that like you see, and then you watch it get to a place where it's so out of hand. It's like, it's so out of hand. It's like, how did you even get here? And then you have it tied to this thing that you love. So then even as you try to get better, or, you know, you find yourself in a place of sobriety or just even like reasonable consumption. Now, when you go back to the thing you love, it doesn't hit as hard the same way. And you feel like, well, now I need these drugs or I need this thing so that I can get I can get elevated to the same position to perform the way that I was performing before, to write the way I was writing before, or like, and it's just a real vicious cycle. So I think knowing where you are psychologically inside of that environment, because, you know, there's nature and nurture. And I feel like your environment has a much greater effect on you than you could ever imagine, you know, and you have to understand, when you get into the entertainment industry, you are electing to supplant yourself inside of an environment that is rife with like mental health issues, psychological issues and stuff. And you are going to be asked to touch your own frequently, because that's what makes the music like feel. So you're going to be asked to frequently go touch this place. And you have to be careful when you're doing it. So I feel like a conversation like this is just important to know about, like, either A, what you're going to get into, or A, what you're already in, and give you words to it, because words have power, right? And as soon as you can start to put some words on some things, it increases the understanding that you have about it. So that's why I'm into this conversation for sure.
Oh, one question in and you all have dropped so much wisdom. That's crazy. But yeah, thank you.
All right, I still going to go in off of that.
Yeah, right, Breion?
Can I say something?
Yeah, of course.
After you.
Oh no, please go for it, Breion.
Okay.
The floor is yours.
Okay. Because he just really just gave me like the Holy Spirit. I'm like, wow. Like, because, okay, just being transparent with you guys. When COVID hit, I really quit. I almost quit me. Like, because it's like, dude, I just got off a rhythm flow. I was on tour. I'm graduating college. Like, my career is taking off, and then COVID hit. And now we're going to this social media world where it's all living in validation. And I was, you know, sitting down with people at Spotify, Pandora, really learning the business and just being transparent with a lot of artists that need to know this. You know, a lot of the things in the industry is smoke and mirrors. It's really fake. It's really robotic. It's a validation. It's making people believe in this perception. I know y'all want to hear this, so I need to tell y'all that. So it's like you're trying to make these people believe in this perception of who you are. You could get lost in that, you know what I'm saying? But it got so depressing. I was meeting people behind these closed doors in Hollywood. And then I started meeting my idols, and I'm on tour with my idols and performing with my idols. And I'm like, oh, okay, this depression journey don't stop. Oh no. So you telling me I'm gonna work this hard and still be sad on the road with people singing my words? And so I came back from all of that, and I went to therapy, and I was just working things out. Man, honestly, just going back to Alison, what she said earlier, I created music to get like this like safety net, because like I didn't have that family support. So the fans were like my family support, and that is not really healthy. So I wanted to work on like building a family, identifying who my friends are, identifying who's real to me, who's authentic to me, so I could be the person I want to be on stage. I want to be that person everywhere in life, because you are a star just by waking up every day. And I feel like as artists, we feel like that star is the person that people are hyping us up about. No, it's the person that you wake up and be, and you look in the mirror and love yourself. You got to have that self-love, do those things that make you feel so good. That's outside of music. Because I'm telling you, that is going to energize you to be this powerful person, and people are going to gravitate to you. But I'm sorry, I just had to say that. And yeah.
Please
Thank
never
you,
apologize.
For real.
So thank you, Breion. And so actually part of what you're discussing is part of my next question. So obviously you all have very different roles in the music industry and have very different experiences with mental health as well. Can we dive deeper into your mental health journey and talk about how you've brought your own experiences into building a more sustainable life for yourself in the music industry? Kevin, why don't you start us off?
avoidance. Like,
no, don't say that.
I mean, look, I'm just being for real. Like, you know, everybody's got a different journey. And so for me, staying focused on doing the things that make me feel like a person, like feel alive. That's just where like I always try to keep my mind, because in the moments, and this happens, you know, it's like ebbs and flows, like where you stop and you like really think about all the stuff that you're doing. I think it can get easy. I was susceptible, like, to easily get kind of wrapped up in the things and not in the purpose of the things. And so for me, kind of ignoring the things helped me, because I'm like, okay, what do I want to do? What I want to do is I want to change people's lives. I want to change people's lives. I want to change how people think. I want to have that kind of impact on the world. That's what I want to do while I'm here.
I want to change lives while healing. Right.
And in the music, for me, has just been an awesome tool that I've been able to use. It's been a tool that has given me access to do things like this. Right now, we're not talking about music. We're not talking about what I actually do, right?
Yeah.
But of a function of what I do, I'm able to have this conversation and have the attention of people who care about what I have to say about it. And that's really what my ultimate goal always was. Music just kind of gave me a platform to do it. But in the times that like you achieve certain things and you allow that to kind of infiltrate your ego, right? Like for me, I'm gonna say like my ego, right? Like, oh, like I did this and I did this and this is great. And like you can feel certain ways about yourself that all have these kind of like, they're like non-altruistic. They're very individualized and personalized. And it's like, for me, I think I would just get into these holes of like, and like, okay, like, then what's next? So like, what do I do next? And then like you start to achieve things that should make you incredibly elated, and they kind of don't, and you want them to. And that's when I get into like those cycles, I know like, okay, I have to recenter. I've really got to check. I have to remind myself of what this is all about, because ultimately what happens is that when I'm focused on those, like on what I'm trying to do, my impact on the world, the human that I want to be, all of that other stuff still happens, and it doesn't really matter, but it feels good because I know what it is putting me toward, you know, because I just think that like our lives are so long. I know life is short, you know, but assuming that nothing happens to you, it's like your life is kind of long. I could live my entire existence all over again, and I wouldn't be like my parents' age. And so I'm like, wow, there's so much more for me to do. And quite honestly, I don't know if I would even care to be making music in the next 20 years, in the next 25 years. It may be something else that like, I hope that have more dimensions of myself as an individual to say like, I can love other things. I can exceed, you know, I can challenge myself in other things. And the thing that I can always look for to be like, I can challenge myself and develop and grow is in my own personal development. It's like the one thing that you always have access to, that you can always dive deeper into, that you can always give to someone else. Like no matter what skills you do or do not have, love and like attention, appreciation, respect, kindness, empathy, like that is something that if you choose to, you sort of have an endless resource of, and you can constantly feed that into the people around you and literally alter your environment and alter those people's environments. It's incredible how much impact you can have on another human by just kind of like being in touch with like who you are and why you do the things that you do and why you want the things that you want. And these other things are just kind of like, while we're here, they're nice little bonuses, but like, don't get caught up in them, because that's why we're all here right now, right? It's like, because we want to give to other people. Like that exchange is life like doesn't really mean a whole lot to me if I have no one to interact, to like exchange with it with. And I think that 2020, like COVID, that lack of being able to have like personal interactions and exchanges, like if I thought it before, I knew it then, where I was like, I need to be around people. I need to communicate with people. I need to share ideas. I need to challenge my thoughts. And that matters to me more than making music. Cause I tried to sit in at home and sitting in my studio and be like, oh, I got all this time and I'm going to write some music. And I wrote nothing because I needed people. What I cared about doing was talking to somebody. I wanted to hug somebody. I wanted to talk to somebody. I wanted to see what was going on in my friend's life. And to me, that is a life full of like success. A life with other people is a life that is successful. And yeah, that's how I feel about that.
Yeah, Kevin, I mean, a lot of what you said that resonated with me was you have to choose. Like, you choose who you surround yourself with. You have to choose the way that you approach the communities that you're in. You have to choose to even take a leap of faith and, like give yourself the opportunity to stretch yourself. And that takes a lot of courage. Danielle, I know you spoke earlier about your experience in, choosing the music industry specifically and why music. So can you talk more about how you brought your personal experiences into building more sustainable lifestyles for yourself and even some of your clients?
Absolutely. And touching, upon what Kevin said, the only resource that's not renewable is time. So, we can rest, we can change our diet, we can change our exercise habits, but we can't get any time back. So it's about what we do with the time that we have. Going through losses, going through changes in life, those kinds of things. And again, COVID, I saw more people since COVID, and then with Black Lives Matter, and then, with January 6th and the election. And there are so many people that are coming to therapy because of all of these things that are going on in the world, because we've been sequestered and put into these boxes of like, everybody's just home now. Everybody's just home, hanging out. And there is no community like that. Like I'm a social person. Like, I like to go see people. I like to hug somebody. I like to, go have coffee with someone. And when that's taken away, and for musicians who your life basically stops because you can't tour, you can't go perform, you can't go and do these things, it's like, now what? So when we have these experiences and being able to approach it, and I know Alison can identify with this, you take each person that you see and go, okay, well, what are your biggest issues? What are your biggest concerns? What are the things that are important to you? And what are you struggling with? And how do we work through that and get you back to that place? Yeah. And I had to do that for myself. It's like, okay, I have all of these struggles, and it's about not being a victim. I'm all for, everybody needs to feel, I'm a therapist. I mean, feel your feelings, like cry, yell, like eat Ben and Jerry's, sit and watch Netflix for 2 days. But after 2 days, like get up and get your clothes changed and like eat a salad. And then like, let's like regroup and like move forward. Okay. So we're going to learn from this experience. We don't sit in it and let it take over us. We do something with it and go, okay, how can we educate other people on it? Now that I've been on the other side of it, how can I use my experience to share it with others? And that's what everybody is doing here. Not just the people on the panel, but all the people that have shown up. Everybody's here because mental health has touched their life in a certain way. And because they want to be impactful in their community or in their environment or within their own circle. And that's what we do with that. And that's how we take our tragedies and our hurts, and we manifest them and we change them for something good.
Exactly. It really is at one point a personal choice. It's a difficult one, but taking that initiative is huge. Johnny.
It sucks. I mean, I get there a lot. I'll have days where I'm in bed for 2 days, and listen, everybody, my clients see me from the waist up. You don't know what's happening. It's the people at Walmart down, like, waist down for me a lot of days. And people don't, and it's cool. Like, but when you're doing something that you're passionate about, that's the thing that gets you out of bed. But when your passion no longer drives you and it sucks the life out of you, that's when you got to take the step back and go, okay, what the hell am I doing here?
Yeah, absolutely. And Johnny, I know earlier you spoke about being a man of color in the creative space and having to go through trials and tribulations. Breion, you had spoken about not having that family support system that you wanted. Johnny, can you speak more on your experience as being a person of color in the creative space and also taking care of your mental health?
Absolutely. I think in the very beginning, to be completely transparent, I remember having a conversation with my parents and saying, I'm going to do music. And they couldn't be more petrified. And my dad actually, I remember probably about a month or two went by and I was like going to my friend's house and recording and stuff. And he was like, so I can't help you with music at all. I don't know the first thing about it, but I'm going to show you how to work and I'll show you how to make some money, and whatever comes from that, I can't do anything about it, but hopefully you make the best of it. And it was really disheartening. I feel like, opening myself up and in a sense, just saying like my dream to him, and his response really just kind of being very flat and just kind of like, well, I mean, good luck. And like both of them scared. And then now I will, kind of mention things that are happening or whatever. And my mom's like, so do they pay you? And I'm like, yes, mom, like what? Like, I feel like there's a whole part of my life that they don't understand, they don't know, and they're slowly being exposed to it. And it's really funny. But like, that could be a very big trauma that you carry. For me, it was never something that was detrimental. It was just something that I realized there's a very different approach in what's going on. And, for growing through the different stages of my career, it was always show up and work. And, whether there was some validation from someone that I was working with, or maybe they were looking at me like, if I look at these 7 people and one of them does not belong, I mean, I'm more Rick Rubin than I am, any contemporary, person that you see in a studio. So like, who's the beard? Like, what's this guy doing here? So, I really always had to show up and have almost like this sheet of armor on me that like, I have the experience, I have the technical know-how, I have all these things. And like, I think that I was so enamored and caught up with the work and like really just, I want to show up and I don't even want to say anything. I just want to press play. Like, oh, you don't even know, like I'm ready, like I'm here, I'm doing it. And so all those things, it really brought me to a place where, and I think Kevin had mentioned ego and that playing a part. And I think in the very beginning, it was because my parents didn't understand it. And then when you tell your friends that you're doing music, I mean, it could just turn into a, circus, because it's like, okay, cool, you're doing music, sure, buddy. So like, all those things started to manifest and I felt like I needed to hurry and rush. And so through those things, I realized that there was a massive difference between chase and approach, right? And so I stopped chasing because it was bad for me, because chasing was pushing me towards coming out of my own skin and not being myself, and like, just wanting to show up and just be there. And like, I'm probably a very reclusive person outside of space like this, because I've found what motivates me, what drives me, and I've found kind of my tribe, right? And so through that and being able to share that energy and have it reciprocate, that's something that, as Kevin mentioned, like that's the perpetual motion machine. Like that's where I thrive. That's where I get up and move every day. And so the everyday survival within the music business became kind of secondary to it. But I think for everybody that may be starting or maybe, getting into taking themselves to whatever they perceive as a next level, understand that there's a difference between chasing and approaching, and approaching has preparation and it has steps involved that are going to make sure that you're okay in the middle of that, as opposed to chasing when you're just full on fight or flight in full speed and you can't even see what's ahead and you're going to trip and fall and it's going to hurt, right? So here now from the approach side, there's really no trip and fall, if I could say that.
Yeah, I think a common phrase that I've been seeing is, and I like how you use approach, but the thing that I've been seeing is chase, or don't chase, attract. But I think approach is so much more like you have that personal ownership of still driving yourself forward. So I really appreciate that.
Johnny, if I could, or Kit Kat, if I could follow with Johnny.
Yeah, Kevin, please do.
On the topic of being a person of color, I think that it can be an amalgamation of things, right? I think that in my own personal experience, I want to share my personal experience because in speaking to other individuals of color, I realized that I was very fortunate. And so I want to share the fortunateness of my circumstances with anyone else who is of color. You don't got to be a color. This applies to you too. But for that purpose of identity, my parents were much older than me. I was adopted. And so my parents were born in the 40s. My dad was born in 42. My mom was born in 47. So they came up in a much different time, right? Mm-hmm. They came up in a time where they went to segregated schools. They literally had less access to education, access to the crappiest jobs. If you could get hired, if your boss decided that they were going to pay you that week and you still needed to show up, because if you showed up to work and it was like, somebody could just lie and be like, oh, well, this person stole money. And then the cops would be there and then you get arrested and there you go. You know, my dad was marching during the civil rights movement. He was 20 years old, you know, like this. I came from a home of Black people who started with literally nothing and purchased their house in 1988, the year before. This is a Black couple who wasn't able to get pregnant and they adopted a kid. I'm adopted. So just defied all of the circumstances of their era and did it without college educations or college degrees or anything like that. They did it with willpower and belief. Yeah. So when we talk about like mental health, the thing that I tie into mental health and having a healthy, like a good, solid mental health is also making sure that you have good spiritual health. And these are people that had faith in their ability to achieve the things that they sought out in their mind. And I'm fortunate because as a child growing up in that environment, and this is why I say environment matters so much, is I had just had parents who were the kind of parents that were just kind of like, you can do that. If I wanted to be like, yeah, I'm going to be on NASA, they'd be like, yeah, you can do that. But they wouldn't say it in a dismissive way. They said it in a way that instilled this type of, when I grew up as a kid and probably into my 20s before I really understood how to control it, like how to manage it, right? As maybe my social skills weren't that great because I was an only child. I think I was a kid that had a lot of ego. Right? Or that would come off as arrogance or come off as conceited. But I thought of it internally as like, no, I can do that. Like no one can tell me I can't do anything. So if it's like, oh, you're Black and you're in this industry and it's going to be 10 times harder for you, I'd be like, so I could do it if it was 12 times harder. Because you're afraid that it's 1 or 2 or 3 times harder. That's you. But it could be 100 times harder and I would still do it. Because that's how good I am. Like that would be like my mindset going into so many things. And so I feel like if you're a woman, if you have some kind of disability, psychological disorder, whatever it is, if you have mental health, if you're Black, if you're Asian, at some point, all of those other things are exterior and they are real. They are very, very real exterior things. But they're more real when you believe them. Like, so if yes, there are real limits. Like, yeah, that's just a reality. But if you believe it, that's a way different kind of limit because it's no longer an external limit anymore. It's a limit inside of you that you're allowing to cap your own potential. And you're better off just being at max potential and letting the world do their best to limit you and come up against that wall there, because at least then you probably won't even stop trying.
Yeah.
You will likely just run into that wall a million times and be like, look, it's either going to break or someone else is going to watch me do this so many times. They're just going to appreciate the fact that I'm still here and somebody's going to give me a hand. Someone's going to help me out. So, and that is what I found out to be the reality of my own life situation and circumstances. I've often been the only person of color in a lot of rooms. And what's crazy is that if you're Black, when you're Black, and if you're not in a predominantly Black area, right? And it probably works the same way for women, and you achieve a particular degree of success, right? Like you reach past a certain barrier, you jump into this other land.
Mm-hmm.
You're normally the only one of you, right? Like, so I'd be in class, I was in college, I was the only like Black kid in there. There were 5 Black people in my entire music department for the entire 5 years I was there.
Yeah.
The entire time. And I think when you're a minority like that, like you just get used to it. You're like, okay, I'm in this environment where I'm the only one of me. And like, this is normal to me. And I'm like, if you can make it normal to you there,
mm-hmm.
and these environments that are like imposed on you, right? Like, oh, we gotta go to school. Oh, this is the class that I'm in. Oh, I scored this on my test, so they put me in this class and I'm around all these people that had all these other resources. If you're forced to be in that environment and you figure out how to make that work, you can absolutely choose your environment and make it fold to you there too. And so I just encourage people to take on that aspect, is like, whether you're a woman or you're Black or Asian or whatever, there were people before us who had it way worse than us and they crushed that shit. And like, that is what you come from. That is in you. You know, it's in you. That is what you come from. And so like, you have all of that ability plus more. And when you do it, you give that level of access to the next generation of people that come after you, your cousins, your nephews, your daughters, and your sons. Like, you give them that much more empowerment. So like, just keep the train moving. If you feel like there are limits, it's okay to see that they're there, but you can acknowledge them, but you don't have to accept them.
Honestly, this has been the conversation I needed. This has been such a beautiful conversation. And it's really interesting to hear about how you all have brought your experiences into the music industry. And, you know, one thing I'm really curious about is how all of you all are in the public eye in some capacity. Whether you are a therapist, you have your clients, we have a music therapist who also performs, we have artists in the room. And, you know, with being in the public eye, even on social media, it can affect your mental health. So how would you say that you balance that hyper visibility while catering to your own needs? I know, Alison, like, we actually spoke about that yesterday, like, you're a performer and music therapist. So how do you do it?
It can be interesting and challenging to do multiple roles in music. So like in performing and being a music therapist, or those of you who perform and write and produce and like the different things, like we all have different roles in life. For me, performing is more of an outlet. So an outlet for self-expression and connection. And I love engaging in that and getting that connection going, but it's kind of challenging sometimes when those two worlds collide. Like if I have therapy clients who are at a show or whatever, like that's an unusual thing. But I think especially just with social media, that's been more of a challenge for me, and sharing more openly on social media about some of my own struggles and things that have been helpful for me. And we're talking about COVID, like Kevin was talking about being so isolated, and Danielle mentioned that as well, like the lack of human connection, the lack of that magic that happens when you're making music with people in person and connecting with an audience in person. That really made me face a lot of that head on and decide, look, I'm just going to be real and share things, but making sure that I'm sharing things publicly that I've taken time to process and deal with, or like maybe I'm in the middle of processing, but making sure that I honor some boundaries and not feel like I need to share everything, but also looking at why I want to share that and coming at that from a place of like, is this helpful? Is this something that's going to, potentially touch somebody? Is this loving? And, making those ripples of love and connection and care.
All right. That's awesome. Breion, how about you?
I got so much to say. Like, I definitely want to tap in on that spiritual thing that you said too, because this is going to touch deep into what you're asking about social media as well. So I want to go in a different approach. So people are scared. A lot of artists are scared of social media, upcoming artists. I mentor a lot of them. They're scared to talk about their shows because they feel like it's only going to be 2 people that like their posts. It's a bunch of stuff, and it messes with your confidence. I remember when I first started, I was getting a lot of traction when Instagram first started, and I was only getting 50, 20 likes, and it was a lot of people still coming to the shows. And now I'm blessed to have a lot more following and people interacting with my posts. But I want to tell you guys that's listening, like, don't get caught up into the validation. Don't get caught up into having to look like the dude that has $1 million budget. Don't get caught up into that. And because that's the thing that I feel like social media is doing to everybody. They're like trying to pitch you in a box where you're like, oh, you're not really doing it. They're controlling the algorithm, but you're the one who need to talk about it. You're the one who need to tell people, hey, go listen to me. And sometimes don't limit social media. You know, I've been reading a lot of your comments in this chat. So I'm feeling you guys. Don't let social media be your only audience. Go pick up that phone and call your family members. They're your fans too. They're your family. One thing with me, I know my community is me. Like, I am my community. We are a community. We are together. Don't hesitate to call your family members and be like, hey, I really need your support. Can you come out? We get so caught up in our head and thinking that we're just supposed to have a sold out show tomorrow. You know, This is my slogan for you. Go after the small fish. The small fish is going to be better than the big fish. I got bandwagon fans. I know they only going to support me when they see me get this article today. And I got some fans that's there every time I need them. You know, I love them fans. Them fans can connect with me anytime. But you can make so many of them fans by being present in your community and standing for what you represent. And this is going back now, I'm back in my spiritual bag. What Kevin said, knowing yourself, because the people that you're trying to be the audience for is really who you are. You know, so when you tap in and know who you are and what you stand for and who you represent, that's the people you need to be present for all the time. And that's where you need to be happy at. And that's how you can go on social media and feel comfortable. And that's how you can go work a job and be an artist. And I can work at McDonald's and I'm still too loud when I go on that stage, because people that work with me know they love my music. They support me. They really love who I really am. And don't be feeling like you have to trap yourself in a closet and hide who you really are, or you got to pay all this money to go look like this to be somebody you're not. Like, stop thinking like that. People love you for who you are. You know, we don't even see the flaws that you look at in the mirror. When you look in the mirror, you see the flaw. When we see you, we see everything that's beautiful. Going back into a little spiritual, because I really want to say this. So journaling helped me so much, because you got to be your own Bible. know that sounds crazy if you're spiritual, but like, your journal is the testimony of what's all the magical and blessings that's going on in your life. If I didn't have this journal that I'm looking at somewhere over here, under here, I'm telling you, I would not even realize the blessings and the things that I have overcame and overachieved. Sometimes you got to reflect and look back and be like, dang, I really overcame this. This is really growth. This is we are all magical and we don't even realize it, because we're just, oh, that blessing happened, I'm carrying on. Then life gets so heavy and dark and depressing. We forget like all these things, but sometimes you got to just reflect, look at the growth, look at the magic. So journaling is what keeps me sane. So I'm telling you guys, really journal your process. Like, I got things that's small, like, and sometimes it's them little achievements. Just write them down. The things that's happy in your career, write them down on sticky notes. I got a journal of just sticky notes of like small things, like, oh, Kevin Gates liked my post. So corny, but I love that. For me, it made me feel good, because I really like Kevin Gates. I look up to Nipsey Hussle. I look up to these people. So when their people come to me, I feel like I'm moving in the right direction. So I put them down and I write them on a sticky note, and it's in my journal, and I can just see the growth. So journaling, please do it, guys. Write down the things that you just so happy about, because sometimes we lose happiness. And we honestly, just being transparent with y'all, I don't remember nothing of the Rhythm and Flow. I don't remember nothing of the sold out shows when y'all see all my posts when it's a bunch of people. I can't even, and I hate it. I can't close my eyes and be like, dang, I remember every single moment, because I was so caught up into like just performing and just that pressure. And like take pictures, take these things, because you're not going to feel these things that you're like working towards. Like, I'm telling you, the only thing you really going to remember is your child, your family, the love, the dinners. Like, that's what you really care about. Like, you really just want to be loved. Everybody want to be loved. Like, these goals that we're achieving, we put so much pressure on it. And really, we just want to be loved. I'm sorry, y'all.
No, don't be sorry. Everything that you've said has been so beautiful. And I actually wanted to speak a little bit to what you said about journaling. I did read your article and everyone should go read it, The Nashville Scene. Breion spoke a lot about journaling and community. And this is basically all we're talking about right now. So very beautiful article. And I wanted to direct it to Alexi, Miss CEO. How have you been balancing hypervisibility? I know you see us a lot, the team, and then you have your own needs as well. So how do you combat it?
Yeah, I really love this conversation about identity because the way I see it is our identities are always changing. And I've personally had a hard time figuring out how do I be present in my own life, still give everything I need to the community and the people that I love virtually, because a lot of this Finessed media community is very virtual. And on top of it with COVID, I mean, I was hosting my birthday virtually on Zoom. I had 60 people in a room. We were taking shots in a Zoom room. And I've had to juggle with the idea of who am I supposed to be online and who am I supposed to be in person and who am I supposed to be with my team and who am I supposed to be to the public eye. And it's been really interesting navigating this space because one of my friends posted on her Instagram yesterday, actually, and I feel like this really represents what I want to embody and who I want to be to the public and to my people. And she said that she doesn't have a Finsta and she doesn't have close friends because she wants to be authentic with every single person in her life. And I really honored and respected that because to me, I don't have time for close friends. I don't have time for the close friends aspect on Instagram. I don't have time to create a Finsta to be posting on 2 different accounts. Yes. I want to be everything that I am and to be able to represent that to my community, especially my team. Because I mean, Mia and Kit Kat and to everybody on our team, I have a group of young women of color that I'm teaching every single day. And I'm a representative of young women of color. I'm also a representative of entrepreneurs, of BIPOC, of women. And I have to remind myself that even though I'm a representative of these people, I'm still my own person and I'm still a normal person. So I'm allowed to have fun. I'm allowed to go out there and Breion, I heard you, I read your article. I know you feel my vibe.
I feel you.
So, I have to be really honest and authentic with myself. And it's hard sometimes. And I know with artists, it's really hard too, because you all are supposed to be cool. But I'm not cool. That's how I feel. I'm not cool in the way where I need to be out there and, wearing the coolest clothes. I'm dorky. I'm dorky. I'm sexy. I'm funny. I'm smart. I'm beautiful. I'm all of these things. And it's really important to me to be able to honor all of these things because they're part of my identity and they make me who I am. And so when it comes to social media, I always have a hard time, just like I look at the likes, I go through, I look at this, who's seen my story, I look at the numbers, and it is important to me because I am in marketing. So I have to be aware of these things, but it's also really important to me to honor everything that I am and to honor especially the people around me, because I want to be as present for my people as I can be. So when it comes to being in the public eye, I've lost investors in the past because I didn't dress a certain way. I have lost investors because I was a woman. I have worked with people who thought that I was the assistant because I was a woman. And I've experienced all of these, these trials.
I lost investments for being in a relationship.
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't lost investments in friendships.
Yeah, exactly. No. So it's like, you have to be who you are. And then if people don't want to be around you or don't want to support you because you're that kind of person, then, it's their loss. And I really had to honor that with social media and being the CEO of my own company because, I've worked with really big names. I worked with crypto.com. I've worked with LimeWire. I've worked with, I don't know, Nike, Sapphire Studios, like all of these really big companies. And sometimes they don't want someone who swears. They don't want someone who looks sexy online. They don't want someone who's laughing and happy, because business to a lot of people is not supposed to be happy, but that's not true. You can have it all. And for me, like, identity is really important to me. Like, it's important that I am very authentic to every single person around me. And, not everybody honors that too. Like, if you want to be more private about who you are and you want to be private online and you don't want to be in the public, by all means, that's who you are. And so I think it's really important to just like embrace everything that you are on a daily basis. And it helps a lot once you can embrace a lot of these things. A lot of the stresses go out the window.
From that, real quick, I just wanted to jump in. I think for me, it's actually extremely simple, and I had to let Alexi finish, but she's the GOAT. So with that established, the fact that for me, the simplest way I could put it to myself is just knowing who I'm addressing. If I'm addressing everybody, my message is gonna be all over the place. I'm addressing people that care about what I care about, that align with my values and principles, that are here to work. They're not here to look flashy and look cool. Like, man, you catch me, you can't tell who's doing what. Like, I'm walking in, I'm like, what, want me to order food? Like, I got you. Like, I'm not too good for nothing, you know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, even there can be like a toxic aspect to being too humble, but give yourself your flowers, embrace yourself, care about what you care about, and show up as the person that has the message in their heart to give. And when I started doing that, back to kind of like the not chasing aspect, I just really started putting stuff out that mattered to me. And I felt like if it's coming from a very real place, then it doesn't matter who sees it or who doesn't, or who vibes with it or who doesn't. Like, I mean, I'm rolling with my buddies who we run a barbershop together, and like before a year or two ago, nobody was talking about mental health. Now it's like they have each individually and collectively at different times opened up just this much, and then the next time it was a little bit more, and then everybody's talking about their feelings now, and like, yo, I think I got to take a day, like, just to kind of like reassess and make sure I'm all right. I couldn't be prouder. And just to know that there was a tiny piece of my journey that impacted them, even in the slightest, it's not because I want to feel like I impacted them, but I know it did. And they're holding space for me when they hold space for themselves, because that's how we get to understand each other. So, Alexi, you're the GOAT.
Johnny, you're the double GOAT.
Agreed.
I love what both of y'all was saying about that. I find it in music, like, to kind of wrap it like into music. I think one of the things that I enjoy most, I don't really at all consume much like rap music or like drill or trap, or like, I really don't consume that genre of music. However, one thing that I genuinely appreciate about the individuals in that scene is that their life is so transparent. Like, normally all of us are like kind of like, hey, like, I want more followers and I want more likes, and you want more reach, you want more attention, you want that, but you want it because you're thinking of like all the positive things. However, if you get in trouble, if you get arrested, and it's for like, it could just be something different, then you're like, oh, I don't know, I don't want all these people to know this stuff. And so then you can find yourself pulling back, and because your emotions are now strung into this thing, it can affect you mentally. Like, so the trouble that you're in might not even be like that big of a deal, but because so many people know about it now it is a big deal, and it can affect you psychologically. And I think one of the things that I appreciate about that genre of music is that it's incredibly transparent. Most of the music is written in this very like narrative, current event type of style, which is why you can put out so much music, right? You got to listen to the next thing and everybody else's things, because you're trying to see what happened in the story. So it's this very soap opera type of genre of music. But what that does is it leaves their actual lives very open. And so all of the headlines and tabloids and stuff like this, like, this person's in trouble, this person's in trouble, this is what they did, this is how this is, this many counts of this or this. And it's like all over the world for everyone to see. And yet these individuals still manage to just make more music and still continue to show up in public and still continue to, and I'm like, the amount of perseverance it takes for an individual to go through that level of like social ostracism, right? We were just talking about like how it feels even if you have a small circle, or, you know, to just be disconnected.
Right.
You know how it feels if it's like, wow, I did something that my mom didn't want me to do, and now she found out about it, and now she's disappointed, and that hurts. Now imagine that at like 100,000 times the magnification, because now everybody, and you go online and people are talking about, hey, why did you do this? Or I bet you're like that. And it's like, none of these people really know me, even though you've tried to give so much of yourself, and then it changes like that. And so I think that like, also when you're in this particular business, you do have to, like, kind of how Alexi was saying about like, because she's in media, she does have to kind of be in the space. If you are in the front facing side of the music industry, probably like Breion, right? Like as an artist, right? Like very front facing. I think for your mental health, it is, like you have to be aware that you are putting yourself in the position to, yes, while all these things may be great, if something does happen that you don't want people to know about, they're probably going to know about it, and it's going to get exploited. And you have to be okay with being 100% transparent, because we talk about it a lot, like, oh, I'm trying to be transparent. Yeah, I try to be transparent. And it's like, yeah, you're transparent about the things you want people to know about,
right?
Like most human beings. Right? That's why your LinkedIn doesn't look like your TikTok. It's because you're trying to be somewhat transparent. But if you're really trying, like when you're an artist, to some degree, you don't get those barriers in those sections anymore. You don't get to segment parts of your life and face different parts in different directions. It's all wide open. And I think that's just something to be aware of if you want to continue to have like the right mindset going through it.
Well, and I think too with that, I think that, you know, being in the public eye, and putting yourself out on social media and whatever other, you know, outlets you perform on, what happens with the general public is that we feel like that we have the right to know your shit, right? So you're putting yourself out there, you're a celebrity, or you're visible. So general public feels like, oh, well, since you guys are putting all this stuff out there, so like we know you, or we have the right to know your stuff, when all it really is really subjective. You know, what I may think is bad, Alison may think is good, or, you know, so now as public figures, you're getting feedback based on people's personal opinions and not really based on truth and based on who you are as a person. And that's where the social media trap can become very dangerous and really mess with your mental health because of that.
Right.
I think one of the greatest things that I read was like, your social media can almost be, like Breion was saying, your personal journal too. You know, like you can choose to share what you want to, you can choose to be vulnerable, you can also choose to protect your boundaries and honor the fact that you want to keep that more to yourself, you know? And obviously, to some degree, some things will get out. And that's not really under your control. But I think one of the lessons that I've learned from Alexi's mentorship is also just practicing letting go of the things that you don't have control over, you know, and giving yourself access to controlling what you can control on social media, and letting go of the reactions, letting go of the expectations that you place on social media and how people perceive you as well. With this all to say, Mia, I know you wanted to jump into the audience Q&A, right?
Yes. So I would love to ask some more questions, but I really want to open it up to our audience here. So if you all have any questions, be sure to raise your hand. I'll call on you and just unmute your mic. Let's see. Question. See, I see Trisha's hand. Let's see.
There's so much to unfold that I'm just going to comment. But first of all, I am so grateful to be in the space with all of you. And as an educator, there's so much gems coming out of here. So I teach in an entertainment school, and my students are who you're talking about. So I love all this. And I took copious notes. And Kayla, thank you so much for sharing the contact information. I'm old school, so I love written communication. So look for emails from me because I have so much to unfold. Thank you guys so much. And Danielle, I love you so much. I'm so happy that you put this out there for me to be a part of. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see. It seems like we don't have any more questions. Are you sure? No more questions?
Oh, there's questions for sure.
I see.
Yeah, I see Jarrell with a hand up, and I don't want to say nobody's name wrong, so I'm not even gonna try it.
What's up, Jarrell?
What's good? Nah, it's similar. I have more of a comment. I'm really just grateful for this space, especially with everything you said, touching on family, social media, even the spirituality aspects. Definitely a lot of things that I've been going through. I've really been trying to like build myself up. So like having this community, people where we can just be free. And I'm an artist, by the way. So it especially hit like, the social media aspects, like, not taking that, trying to get that validation immediately. And I've been trying to do like more long-term thinking with that stuff and just not immediately identifying with the, current situation. So no, I just really appreciate each and every one of you for coming on and just wanted to express that to you.
Thank you.
Jarrell's been a supporter since day one of Finessed Media. I had one event where it was just me, Jarrell, and one other person, and he's my main guy. Love you, Jarrell.
Yo, that's crazy.
I love you too.
Like platform stories. I had that exact same thing. We run a call every Sunday, and there was one Sunday where it was just me, Gio, and Dwayne, and we were just sitting there like, so what's on the agenda for the day? But yeah, man, I mean, again, I just want to give everybody at Finessed, their flowers, because I mean, it's not just right now. I follow them on TikTok. I'm on Instagram. I'm like everywhere that I see anything Finessed Media, it's not just quality, but it's also insightful. There's something to be taken with you from it. And that's so important because that's the part that was so famously neglected in my journey on my way up, is that everybody, if you knew how to get your music on Apple and iTunes or whatever, Spotify, you were like the person that everybody wanted to talk to. And now that's like everybody could do it. But like there was a time where we were willing to sell body parts to get onto iTunes, and it was like it's such a night and day.
Yeah.
So just a huge round of applause to everybody at Finessed, because you guys do the work every single day, and it's like it just like reminds me and motivates me. Like I'm like, yes, I got to do as much or more, and not a comparison thing, but it's like you guys are pouring into the soil that I grew from. So like that just hits home every single post, every single comment, every single everything. Like y'all are just, you do it.
We love you, Johnny.
Johnny, you just said something that triggered a thought in my mind that I just felt like would be useful. And it was the point about like, if you knew how to get on iTunes, because this is real. I remember I was in college, I got on iTunes and everybody, I mean, this sounds ridiculous, but in 2010, when like Apple Music wasn't a thing yet, streaming music services, you still had to download it like to your phone.
I remember.
And I got music on iTunes. In my University of Delaware, every single television screen they had on at the campus, they put my flyer up on those TVs and ran it for a week, like download on iTunes, because they just thought like, whoa, we have a student here who got on iTunes. I mean, really, they just didn't know, honestly, they just didn't know. But the point of that, right, is that we're in times like that right now. For the artists who are figuring out, like, because I know in this conversation of mental health, right, there's still the reality of it, right, which is kind of like, yeah, this is great, but I'm still stressed out because I don't have anybody listening to my music, or because I'm not making money, or because, like those things are still real. And what can help with that, like the reason why, for me personally, I'm just explaining from my own personal point of view, why I cared about getting on iTunes when I first started is because none of my contemporaries were there. So I was like, I just want to be in the place that they are not. everybody was still pushing CD. And right now, Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, whatever platform you're on, it's hyper saturated. It's like water. I live in America, and you can turn if I turn my faucet on right now and I come back next week, it's still running, right? Like it will never run out. It's so saturated. And so the value of it's pretty low, like my water bill might go up $10 if I do that. It's like nothing. And that's kind of what you're exchanging when you enter into these arenas, right? You're saying, in order to enter into this concentrated market full of people who consume music, what I'm going to exchange for it is supply. I'm going to enter into unlimited supply. And since I have no control over supply, I have no control over price, which means that my music is it has no tangible value in terms of exchange quality, right? And so I would say that much like in that forefront that Johnny was just talking about, we're in the space now for musicians where it's like there's this democratization of technology that no one seems to be taking advantage of. There's all types of different places to put your music that people will end up on, the Web3 and metaverse and stuff like that. And you're hearing right now a lot of speculation about it's not anything or blah, blah, blah. And I'm gonna tell you, and Johnny probably tell you too, that back then they said the same thing. No one's gonna do streaming. No one's gonna blah, blah, blah. And look, now we never moved backwards from technology. No one invented a car and said, you know what, we're just going to go back to riding horses. Like, no, it just doesn't happen that way. You didn't pick up a phone and then say, you know what, this is horrible. Let me just go back to writing letters. Like, they're not going to move backwards. And in our business, in the music business, we're tied to technology. Every time there's a technological change, our industry changes drastically, whether that's from records to cassettes to CDs. CDs were huge. Why were CDs huge? Because you could put more albums on them. So a whole bunch of, in my world of things, songwriting, whole lot of songwriters got crap songs that weren't any good onto albums where they made money because there was one album that sold 12 or 15 songs.
Right.
This world for everyone here right now, it's accessible. There's knowledge out here. And instead of thinking about all of the traditional ways that things have been done, they will not be done that way forever. So I think sometimes it can be less of a stressful place to be in your mind when you enter curiosity and discovery, which is what happens when you look forward to what else you can do that's outside of than trying to do what is already done. And so you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can do the same thing you do, you just put it somewhere else, and I think that in terms of mental health, and it's just I personally am in a much healthier mental space when I'm curious and when I'm challenging myself and when I'm excited about doing something. And when I have conversations with musicians, they're not necessarily curious or excited about putting their music on a streaming platforms. So look into the directions that get you fired up about what you're doing, and that will also help to get you in a healthier mental space.
Right.
Exactly.
And, I know we have a couple other questions and comments left, but we did want to head into our guided meditation. So panelists, if need be, would our audience members be able to reach out to you?
Absolutely.
Sure, for sure. And I'm
Absolutely.
I'm gonna throw in the chat my stuff.
Of course. Thank you all so
much, everyone. We'll put your contact information in the contact sheet, so make sure that everyone hops on that. Put your own contact information. That'll be the best way to connect with everyone here. Thanks for dropping it, Kayla. And so before we head into our guided meditation, I just wanted to share a couple upcoming events that we have at Finessed Media. So next week, we'll be speaking on music festivals in the live event space hosted by Emily and Itzel. And then to conclude July, we'll talk about K-pop and how revolutionary it's been. So with that, Alexi, Mia.
Yes. Welcoming to the stage one more time, we have our CEO, Alexi, Finessed Media, and she's going to lead us into a much needed guided meditation. So Alexi, take it away.
Cool. We are going to finish off the event with the guided meditation, by the way. So before we head into this, these next couple of minutes, I would just like to say, Breion, Danielle, Allison, Johnny, and Kevin, it has been so awesome to share this space with you and to hear all of your experiences. I wish we had more time, but it's the weekend. So after this, you all can enjoy your weekends, but we'll definitely have to connect offline. Breion, Danielle, Allison, Kevin, Johnny, anyone want to share just any last words before we hop into the meditation? Obviously, you're all welcome to stick around for it, but anything you want to share before we hop into it?
I would say just love yourself, man, above everything else, because you can't pour out if you're empty. So just all of this, your mind, body, spirit, you got to protect that. You got to take care of it, and you got to invest in it. You got to treat it like it's the very root and the seed of where your career even stems from, because without that, you can't do anything. You will literally feel paralyzed. So that's it.
For me, I would, dope, Johnny. How can I come off that? But for me, I want to say, believe in your vision, guys. Everybody's blessed with a vision that nobody else can see. You know what I'm saying? When you close your mind and you really think and you have that trail, if you really walk on that trail and believe in that trail, you can do all the magical things that I told y'all earlier. We all are magical. But like, that's the secret ingredient. Believe in your vision, your track, and what you want. Don't let nobody else get on that road for you. Like, that's that. You just stay focused on that vision and them steps, and please just do that. Like, because we don't have the answers. We don't know what we're doing. We're just doing it. But the thing that make me special, speaking just for me, is literally I believe in that vision and that line that I see when I close my eyes and I think in my mind, and I just be like, man, I got to jump on that idea immediately, because nobody else is thinking that same exact thought you feeling. Nobody else is experiencing that same exact feeling you're feeling. All the things that you're experiencing in your life, that's only your story. That's only your dream. That is only your vision. So that's me. That's it.
When you put yourself, when you put other people first, what you're doing is you're teaching them that you always come second.
Ooh. So thanks. I needed that one.
Yes, just like when you go on an airplane and they give you this whole spiel and they talk about if the cabin loses pressure, put your mask on yourself before you help somebody else. Putting ourselves first doesn't mean that we're being selfish and that we don't care about other people. But kind of like what Johnny said, like, if you're not taking care of yourself, if you've got nothing in your cup, how can you help other people? So making sure that you're putting yourself as a priority, because you'll teach other people not just to treat you like that, but you'll also teach them to do the same for themselves.
I'm going to hop on what Breion was talking about, spirituality, and several other people mentioned spirituality. I just read something this morning that was a passage of scripture that talks about the eye is the light of the soul. Somewhat, I can't remember exactly the paraphrase, but it got me thinking about like how our eye can be our focus, and where attention goes, energy flows. So we can focus with that curiosity and love and exploring what we're passionate about and exploring different possibilities, and knowing that we have that creativity. We bring that creativity that nobody's had the same experiences as we've had. Nobody's having the same kind of thought, and it's going to make the kind of music that you're going to make, and just following that curiosity and knowing that there's going to be stuff that comes up, and comparison, like, oh, I only have X many followers and they have this many, and like staying true on that path and bringing your attention, bringing that little flashlight of focus in our mind on what we want to grow can be so much more beneficial. And thank you again for the space.
Yeah, thank you. Kevin, you're last but not least, but you got to keep it short because you're long-winded.
Sure, yeah, I'll keep it short. First, I just want to say thank you. Seriously, thank you. It has been a pleasure and a blessing to just take in this environment in this community. And there's a mantra that I have that I've had for quite a while, and it's just that my future can be better than my present, and I have the power to make it so.
I love that. My future can be better than my present, and I have the power to make it so. I love that. Cool. Thank you, everybody. We're going to take a couple minutes for this meditation. I'm going to go ahead and share some music in the background. Give me just 1 second while it gets set up. And I encourage everybody to keep their cameras on if you have them. You don't have to, obviously. And I also encourage you to keep your mics unmuted if you have a quiet background, because there will be just a phrase that I want to share with all of you towards the end. So give me just a second while I set this up, and we'll go ahead and get started. Can everybody hear the music in the background? Awesome. All right, so go ahead and close your eyes. And if you all want to keep yourselves on gallery view, you are welcome to, by the way. Awesome. So everybody go ahead and close your eyes. Bring your palms to your thighs, face down if you'd like grounding, or face up, bring in energy for your day. Take a full deep breath in here, breathe in. And a full deep breath out, breathe out. Another deep breath in. And a deep breath out. Take a moment to bring awareness to your body. Pull your shoulders up towards your ears, down and back. And slowly start to bring awareness to the top of your head. Bring awareness to the point between your eyebrows. Relax your brows. Bring awareness to the tip of your nose. Your mouth. And release your tongue from the top of the mouth. Relax your jaw. Take a full deep breath in here. Breathe in. And breathe out. Now continue breathing in and out through your nose on your own. Slowly start to bring awareness to your thoughts. Yoga is the practice of feeling the changing states of mind. And meditation, as a part of this yogic practice, is not about letting go of your thoughts or pushing them away. It is about accepting your thoughts and being an observer of them. So as you inhale and exhale, inhale and embrace everything about yourself, your day, everything from the stress, everything from your career, your aspirations, all of those thoughts. Inhale. And then exhale, let them go. Again, take a deep breath in. And a deep breath out. Now I invite you all here to, if your mics are unmuted or if they're muted, feel free to repeat after me. I'll say the phrase and then repeat. I love my life. I love my life.
I love my life.
Again, breathe in. I didn't hear all of you. I love my life. I love my life.
I love my life.
There you go.
I love my life.
Breathe in one more time.
I love my life.
There we go. I love my life.
I love my life.
I love my life.
Laugh. I see some of you. All right, take another deep breath in here. Breathe in. Now, as we spend the next few minutes together, I encourage you all to thank yourselves for being a part of this meditation. Thank yourselves for being a part of today's event. You all spent an hour and a half, a little bit longer, being in this room with other people who do care about their mental health, sharing the space to listen to others and communicate with others about maybe your own struggles. No matter where you're at today or in your practice, remember that you are capable of persevering through all that it is that you are struggling through. Remember that you are capable of enjoying life. Remember that it is okay to cry, to be angry, to feel all those feelings. And then take a deep breath out, let it go. I invite you all to bring one hand to your heart and one hand to your belly. Feel your heart. It's a sign that you're alive. Feel your belly rise and fall. That's a sign that your lungs and that your body is working for you. And you should do the same. And bring your hands to heart center. Take one more last deep breath in. Biggest breath of the day. And then one full deep breath out. Thank you all again for being a part of our practice today and for sharing in this moment, sharing your lives with us for this last hour and a half. Feel free to blink your eyes open. And I hope you all have a wonderful Saturday. Thank you all. Bye, everyone.